Welcome to the E-commerce Alley podcast, where we believe that great brands are built on passionate leadership, smart operations, and of course, powerful marketing. I'm your host, Josh Coffey, and today I have an incredible guest of honor named Zach Roberts. Now, Zach hails from Michigan, which we're from Ohio, so he's like not too far from us. And Zach has an insane story. I got to meet Zach a little over a month ago inside of the E-commerce Alley community, an amazing entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. And so today we're gonna be diving into some of the incredible things Zach has done and some good stuff that you can take away for your own e-commerce business. So Zach, man, we're finally here. We've had this plan for like a month, and we've been messaging each other up until now. I think we're both just as excited.
Yes, super pumped, super happy that you guys are having me on. I appreciate you guys a ton, and I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah. So what I'd love to do here, because you have a pretty crazy story, and I see in the notes, and we've kind of prepped some things looking at this. Like, you have a crazy story from the fact that you were a middle school teacher / bartender, and in 2015, and which is not that long ago. I mean, you're talking seven years ago. You ended up co-founding VYBE Source. You started your business, well, Vybe Cats, and you have like a third-party logistics company. You guys have a media company. You guys have done a lot of stuff. So if you could, I'd love to start out, just kind of introduce yourself, like let everybody know what it is, where you were and how you got to like what you're doing right now and what that looks like.
For sure, man. So again, I'm Zach Roberts. I'm from West Michigan, literally halfway between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, for those that are familiar. And yeah, Spencer and I started these businesses. It's been many years in the making. So Spencer Taylor, many people know him from the Impaulsive podcast. He was the co-host for the first 100 episodes. And he's worked really exclusively with Logan and Jake Paul for quite a long time. And him and I happen to be childhood best friends. So we started going to school together when we were 4 years old, and we've got all this awesome film of us playing on U4 soccer together and our parents coaching. So we've known each other forever. And the reason why I bring that up, not only because we're in business now, but also when we were in school was not our thing. We were not necessarily troublemakers, but often in trouble, and we just didn't feel like the public school system was built for us. Yeah, it felt like the public school system wasn't built for us, but at the same time, we were probably playing a role in that as well, and maybe we were doing some things we shouldn't have been. But anyways, we went off to college. We both did separate things. Most people in my family have taught and then started their own business, so I was kind of going down that route naturally. And yeah, so I dove in. I was teaching middle school. It was awesome. I taught middle school for 6 years, actually, English language arts and a business skills class. And it was phenomenal. The kids were awesome. But I quickly realized the parents, the administration, things like that, it just wasn't for me. And I felt like school wasn't doing kids a favor, and I didn't want to take part in that. So I met up with Spencer for lunch when he was on his way back, and he handed me a stack of cardboard, which is really random. But he knew I wasn't really vibing with the traditional 9-to-5 job teaching and then having to go bartend at night. And he knew that. So he handed me this cardboard, and he said, "Hey, man, we both love cats. We should turn this stack of cardboard into a cardboard cat castle, and you'll never have to work your regular job again."
What a good pitch. I wonder if an investor would do that too.
Yeah, for real. That's what it felt like, but it was the best experience and opportunity in my life, and I dove on it. And like many e-commerce entrepreneurs, they know how the supply chain goes. I stayed up late at night talking with people on the other side of the world and figured out a way to get this product made. And then before you know it, we moved productions over to Michigan, and now we run a multi-7-figure e-commerce and fulfillment brand here in Grand Rapids.
Wow. That's a lot. See, I think back, what was I doing in 2015, with our businesses? And I'm like, well, I feel like I wasn't doing anything cool like that. We had our agency, we've grown like crazy, but man, like you've done so much in 7 years. So tell me a little bit about, like Vybe. So like one thing I noticed is you have VYBE Source, Vybe Media, Vybe Cats, which that's the Cat Castles e-commerce product that you have. Like, what's the whole story behind like Vybe, other than like, hey, I like to vibe, we vibe, like what's the story behind that?
Yeah. So Spencer was the one that started. He's the owner of VYBE Source. He started this probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago now, around that same time period. And VYBE stands for Visualize Yourself Better Every Day. So the goal of the entire company is us. That's how Spencer and I live. That's how all the employees and staff that work with us, that's how they live. And that's really how we help our clients and other people live as well. And that's just becoming the best version of yourself every single day, regardless of what goes into that. So just making sure you're always becoming that best version of yourself. And so what happened is Spencer started VYBE as a media company. His trade is he's a videographer. So he helped Jake and Logan start their YouTube channels, and Spence quickly became one of the most world-renowned videographers that there is. Was working in LA for a really, really long time. And so VYBE started out as a media company. And then a few years ago, when e-commerce really, really started to take off, Spencer and I kind of sensed that. And we found products that matched the niche. At that time, it was a jewelry store that we still have and run, and a lot of things that matched the niche of his following. So things like holistic living, becoming one with nature and living kind of that nomad type lifestyle. And so from there, we split off and kind of pivoted. You'll notice I say the word pivot a lot because in entrepreneurship, that's what we do. So we pivoted from media over to e-commerce and started the e-commerce branch of our business. And that's where things got crazy. Because when you're doing media, it's one thing, but then all of a sudden you have multiple e-commerce stores, supply chain, you got to figure out everything. And so what we found ourselves doing was actually outsourcing all of that. And as everybody knows, when you outsource everything, it just absolutely kills your margins. So we got to the point where VYBE had multiple e-commerce products that were really proven in the market and people enjoyed and loved, and we're getting all this positive feedback. But we're not able to scale because every dollar we get, we're paying out for advertising, for media, for fulfillment, for supply chain, whatever it may be. So that was when we were like, all right, how can we kind of streamline this? And our first idea was, well, if we're already going to be fulfilling, if we're already going to be doing media, advertising, everything that goes into a successful e-commerce operation, we thought we might as well start doing that for other people as well. And that was what took us to the next level, because as soon as we did that, it really freed up the capital we needed to scale our ecom brands as well. And so it really just opened up so many opportunities for us. So now as we stand, we've still got VYBE Media. We've got multiple VYBE e-commerce brands. And then our largest and fastest growing brand is our fulfillment center that we have here in Grand Rapids.
Okay. Now of the ecom brands, what one is the largest, would you say?
So the cat store is the largest. Just kind of, it's a natural process when I know you talk with a lot of e-commerce and work with a lot of e-commerce people, and you start to realize that you can fall in love with a certain product. It could be a product that you use in your life every single day. But really what it comes down to is the market kind of dictates what's going to sell and not sell. And with cats, we learned that approximately, I think it's like 45 or 48% of people in the United States own cats, which means
no way,
that simplifies everything. Yeah, it's crazy. There's cats everywhere.
Hey, that's all good. I thought dogs would, maybe, are dogs 52% and cats 40%? I don't know. It's
well, there's a lot of overlap too. There's a lot of dog and cat households. So with that, the reason why we feel like the cat product took off, not only did it go viral with all our advertising, but also just the fact that it's a product that everybody uses. Everybody's dealt with Facebook advertising issues or advertising issues of any type and targeting, especially since the new Apple updates. But what we found is when you have a product that at worst, if the advertisement goes out to 1,000 people, it's applicable to 480 of those 1,000 people, then now you're in business.
Yeah, wow. The one thing I love because about the cat niche is that, first of all, like you're niched down, which I think is really great. But then also I know the targetable interests in the cat space and the dog space, just pets in general, is like really, really deep. We have a couple people in our coaching program, the Max Profits Mentorship, that are in that space, in the animal space. And every time we're like reviewing their audiences and their campaigns, like they have so many audiences they can target on the cat front. So I also love the fact that your product is really unique and the audience is large and it can be really scalable. Could you tell everyone like about the cat castles, break it down. What is it? Because you just say that, but I don't know if people can really envision what it is. Like break it down verbally for everybody.
100%. So like I told you, Spence and I are cat people. Like we actually legitimately love cats. He's got a F2 Savannah cat, which is a really large, really athletic, borderline wildcat. And I have the complete opposite. I've got a half munchkin cat, a really short, tiny, fluffy, regular house cat. And so it all started with us loving cats. And we always laughed because cats are obsessed with cardboard. Like it's the number one thing. It's not even close. You can put almost anything other than catnip in front of them and they're going to go straight for the cardboard. So we looked at the market and we were like, the market needs a cool, customizable cardboard cat castle. So what we did is we found a company in Michigan here that is able to cut and make these pre-made boxes basically. So we've got 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot boxes and 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot boxes. And they are just your prototypical square rectangle box with all these different cutouts on it. And we made it so that they're stackable. So it's almost like adult Legos for their cat. And so people stack them up and build anything from a 5 square foot setup up to, we have a 250 square foot setup that we do. And that's become one of our most popular ones. And like I said, we built bridges and tunnels and all these attachments that go onto it, but it's just really modular and neat and custom. And it's unlike anything pretty much anybody has seen in the cat industry. And then on top of that, we found, so you'll notice about us, sustainability and eco-friendliness are like our number one priority. And we did some market research and we found that in the cat industry, 94% of cat products are either plastic or made in China. So right there, that was a pain point for us. We hate seeing stuff like that. So we were like, how can we make something that's not plastic? Or they make this like plastic wood hybrid that is terrible for the environment as well. So we were like, all right, cardboard's a possibility. We just got to simply make it strong enough to withstand crazy cats. And then we found a source where we get all of our cardboard is 100% recycled and 100% recyclable. So with us planting 1 tree for every product sold and the sustainability of the raw materials, it's a zero waste product, which is absolutely incredible for us.
Wow. Yeah. And I would encourage, if you're listening and you have a cat, go to, it's vybecats.com, right?
Vybecats.com.
Vybecats, like VYBE cats.com. When I first came across Zach and he's in the Ecommerce Alley Facebook group. And so I remember when you posted, we were doing like reviews on a live stream one time and you posted your ads. And I go to the ads library, I'm looking at the videos of your ads and I told our team, I'm like, this is one of the coolest products ever. Like you just see these tunnels and these cats are like popping their heads in. And don't you have like glass windows in some of them too?
Yep.
They're little like half moon windows in some of them. Like it's really cool. If you have a cat, you should absolutely go check it out. I mean, hey, Christmas is coming up and maybe your cat has a birthday coming up.
Yes, it is. I love to hear that. And speaking of the Facebook group, I wanted to let you know, first off, I appreciate the opportunity even being in there. Just the value I've gotten out of that in the last month, I think maybe month and a half, has been insane. The fact that you're live reviewing people's ads, that's like something nobody else is doing. So I appreciate you for that.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Now I am curious. So like, when did you, in the last 7 years, what was the starting point for Vybecats? Because was that right off the bat or was that like a little bit later? Because you mentioned the jewelry.
No. Yeah, for sure. So Vybe Media has been around for about 8 years in total. That was the original company. And then from there, the jewelry store has been around for about 5 years. That was the first e-commerce product. The cat product started late 2019 is when Spencer and I had met for lunch. And then we had it up and going by January of 2020. And I don't know if you remember, but so we started off ordering it from overseas. We got it from China. That was the only place we could get to make it. Well, right when we placed our first order, that large boat got stuck in the Suez Canal, and all of our inventory was stuck in the Suez Canal. So we invested our entire life savings into this project and then had a 6-month delay before we could get any inventory. So that was a small business nightmare right off the bat. But man, I tell you what, that is how you learn right there, being dealt a hand like that right off the bat. And you just gotta land with the boots on the ground and adapt and pivot and figure it out. So we started that in 2020, had an absolute insane launch. So I've been a part of an infinite amount of business launches. I've never seen anything like the cat store. Like, you turn the Facebook ads and Instagram and Google and TikTok and all the different platforms. We turned the ads on, and it was just immediately insanely good engagement. And that was when we really knew, all right, this is a long-term project.
That's pretty incredible, because you've only been around technically for almost 3 years. Like, if you did 2020, 2021, and we're wrapping up 2022 here. So you're like 3 years into this. 3 years into this, it sounds like it took off. That's a scary place to be, where you invest your life savings, what you have, you put it on the line for something that you believe in, and then it gets stuck in the Suez Canal. And I think that I'm not the only one that's been in a situation like that. Like, I share a story that for me was when we had 12 staff and I'm on vacation with my family, and we're in the Outer Banks in this multi-million-dollar home on Airbnb. By all Instagram standpoint, looks great, and I have $1.06 in my bank account between savings and checking, and I don't know how I'm going to make payroll. And I think those moments define like a lot of the trajectory in who you are. Like, it shows like the character of the person and the fortitude of the person in those moments. Because when it's stuck, like, what did you guys have to do when it was stuck there for 6 months? Like, in that period of time, what did you do in the meantime to still keep things running?
Yeah, so it kind of ended up being a blessing in a way. So 2 things. One, we were using a third-party logistics company that was helping us import the products, because Spencer and I were just 2 guys with an idea. We had no idea what we were actually doing. Something like this had never happened to that company, and they actually kind of abandoned us in the middle of all that happening. So that means Zach had to learn how to import and deal with customs agents and figure all that out. And I say that's a blessing now, because now that's something with our third-party logistics that we have to do all the time anyways. And that's how I learned best. So actually, when I was becoming a teacher, the teachers always do an internship for like half of a school year. And my mentor teacher, the second day, just packed up her stuff and left and said, "You're going to thank me later, but I'm leaving for 2 weeks." And then the principal came in and was like, "Yeah, you're just going to have to man the class for 2 weeks." And I'm a 17-year-old kid at that point, at 19, because I graduated really early. So I'm 19, learning how to become a teacher with zero help whatsoever. But just like with the boat getting stuck in the Suez, man, just for me and for Spencer too, learning on the fly is something we're super grateful for, because we have a passion in education. And being able to gather yourself in those moments where you feel like you're going to pull your hair out and scream and the whole world's burning and crumbling around you, when you can really, tie up the shoes and get to work, the feeling you have after something like that is you can't even compare it to anything else.
Wow. Yeah, that's I think those moments are so critical in your journey of winning and your journey of success, because I think that so much of the biggest wins that I experience are when you take these complete punches to the face, like these throat chops from life, and in those moments you have to say, what do? We have to adapt, or we're going to die, right? Adapt or die. And I think that you guys have adapted. And the cool thing is, you looked at it almost from a glass half full standpoint now you have a 3PL company, and you guys are helping people do this in a better way. So tell me a little bit about that. So it sounds like that kind of that pain birthed the 3PL side of things. And so, talk a little bit about that. Like, what does that look like for you guys? Like, how are you, I assume you're doing it differently than you, like they abandon you, and you're probably doing it differently than other 3PLs. So like, what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. So there's multiple layers to it. Our specialty is sustainability, eco-friendliness, and made in America. Those are like our 3 pillars for our fulfillment. So when we're vetting potential clients and filtering through, we get tons of applicants all the time. We're really focusing on people that are creative. They have custom, awesome products that are made in America, and they're doing their best to be sustainable and eco-friendly. And the reason why we like to do that not only is just to better the earth and leave it better than we found it, but also the other third-party logistics, and 3PL, for people that don't know, stands for third-party logistics, and it's basically just the handling of any good from either the supplier to your warehouse or from a warehouse to the customer, if you sell direct to consumer online. And So with Vibe 3PL and sustainability and eco-friendliness, it's tricky because it's the easiest way to fulfill items for people is in a way that's not good for the environment. It's using unlimited plastic bubble wrap and plastic mailers and having a ton of waste at your facility. And what we really did is we came in kind of against what everybody else in the space is doing. And we said, we're only using paper to pack. We're going to focus on American-made products. And we are going to make sure that our facility is zero waste and that everybody's packages are getting packaged with paper and cardboard and inserts that are friendly with friendly inks and things like that as well. So what we ended up doing is at first we just took on 2 clients that were within our network. So it was other social media influencers that had physical products. And I think they were paying like Shipmonk or something, one of the corporate brands, to do all their fulfillment for them. And they were just getting charged an arm and a leg, and it didn't make sense for them. So we started working with them and we actually helped them go from outsourcing, or I should say importing their merchandise from overseas. Now they get it made here in Lansing and get it made in America. And then we help them package and fulfill every item that comes in. And one of the huge pain points in e-commerce right now is the fact, it's kind of the elephant in the room, and some people don't like to admit it, but Facebook and all the platforms are trying to shut down companies that just import products and take 2 months to ship it to their customers, and they get bad reviews on Facebook, and we all know how that goes. But it's kind of the elephant in the room right now, and that's that social media platforms don't necessarily want drop shippers coming in and buying things off Alibaba and shipping them direct to consumer and then getting poor reviews, and then it's a bad experience for the Facebook customer or Instagram or TikTok. And so we're really coming in and helping people understand that, especially in today's economy with how expensive shipping is, you can actually get your product made in America easier than you think. And the ultimate secret with that is, in our opinion, and we hope suppliers don't get mad at us, in America, suppliers lack creativity, meaning manufacturers of items lack the creativity to expand their own portfolio. Instead, they make what their current customers are asking them to make. But if you call them and say, hey, I know you don't make this product, but we know by your machinery and what else you make that you can make it, they're super open to doing it. It just takes time. So we started our 3PL helping people at first just get their products made in America. And then from there, it was the sustainable fulfillment. And then the big thing that sets us apart is we do custom tailored contracts with e-commerce businesses. We don't do a one price fits all for packing items because every item is different. For example, it takes 7 minutes, not that we have it down to a science or anything, but it takes 7 minutes to fulfill a cat castle because there's a lot of folding and shaping and folding the box and getting everything packaged together. So fulfilling an item like that compared to picking an item out of a box and setting it in a bubble mailer and sending it out, that's a whole different process. So where we found our success in the third-party logistics and fulfillment realm is helping people to build a custom tailored contract that simply makes sense for what they sell.
So, so with what you guys do, what does it look like for you guys? You guys also do things like custom packaging and inserts and things like that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do everything. So literally however you want your item to be packaged, we make sure that we make it happen. So for example, we've got clients right now that have items such as greeting cards. That's one of our big clients. They do greeting cards and holiday ornaments and things like that. Those items get imported into our facility. We sort it, and they have a whole station right at our warehouse. We've got a really large warehouse, and we sort it, get it all organized, and then our fulfillment team, as soon as an order comes in, it processes right. We get access to either their Shopify or WooCommerce or Amazon or whatever platform they sell on. That order comes through. We package it up. We've got clients that do everything basically as low cost as possible. So they want very simple, rigid paper mailers. They want the item to be grabbed out of the box, set in there, maybe a nice, cute little business card size insert that they put in there, and then the item goes out. Something like that's really cheap to fulfill from a labor standpoint. And then we've got other clients that have items that have to be unloaded from semis, completely unpackaged, repackaged. And then, one client that we have, half the stuff goes to Home Depot and then half their inventory goes to Lowe's. So we've got to get everything packaged up, get the correct labels on it, and get that sent out as well. And we always ship everything out within 24 hours, which really helps the direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands, because that's one of the biggest things right now is everybody knows how it goes when you're getting those emails in your support box right away because someone bought an item and 10 minutes later they haven't got a notification yet. So we also help people get those processes automated so that everything is easy as can be.
Yeah, I think that's so crucial. Ship time. Like, I think that most people think that, like, I remember when drop shipping blew up, and I remember 2016, man, 2017, or 2015 to 2017, everyone was teaching drop shipping. And I don't tell this story very often, but I started a women's apparel brand. Dylan might be hearing this for the first time. I started a women's apparel brand. I called it Apparelica. And we built a whole website. We connected it with, I think it was called Oberlo. Man, I'm pulling this back for a while. Oberlo with Alibaba. It was like, due to shipping, you create the excuse on there in the shipping times. It's like, well, and now everyone says, well, due to COVID and ship times, it might take 7 to 10 days to process your order and another 10 to 20 business days to arrive. And now, back then, you can kind of get away because it wasn't really common, but now it's so common. Everyone's like, dude, you're just drop shipping something I could buy on my own from AliExpress for 20% of the cost that I'm paying you. And so I think, as people figure that out, it's becoming more prevalent. And then the other thing I think is Amazon has standardized the expectation of 2-day shipping. They've just standardized it. So if you get close to 2 days, you're good. Like 2, 3, 4 days, that's expected. But when you start pushing 7, even to 10 business days, I mean, you used to be able to go a whole month and you'd still get upset people, but they didn't realize it was drop shipping. But now everyone knows that. And I think that when you start to get over 7 business days to arrive, then you start to have some upset people. They're like, hey, why the heck isn't this 2-day? Everything I can buy in one click on Amazon gets to my doorstep in a day or two, or same day if I live in a major city. And so I think what I am seeing from like the business side, because we work with a lot of e-commerce owners, and what I'm seeing is the ones that are drop shipping and they're having these long ship times, it's a worse experience from the customer. You don't get a repeat customer often because they're like, ugh, I'm not gonna wait 22 days to receive whatever it is. So it basically means your customers are almost one-off. And if you don't create all your profit on the front end, you don't make it in the back end, which ideally you're pulling in a lot of profit from the lifetime value. So that just makes sense to me. And now I will say, I don't own an e-commerce brand. We just work with a lot of them. I'm curious to know though, when you started the Cat Castles, did you go straight to fulfillment with your, or did you in-house anything on your own?
So that was the jumpstart of our fulfillment business. We were outsourcing everything to a warehouse in Lansing. You'll kind of get a kick out of this. So keep in mind, Spence and I, 2 best friend guys, we always joke around. We don't know anything, really. We just work hard and try things and fail a lot. But we decided it's a great idea to invest our life savings into Cat Castles and get them delivered to our warehouse in Lansing because they already fulfilled our jewelry. So you got to think with jewelry, those are very small products. Takes up maybe a shelf or 2, maybe a drawer in their facility. Well, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. And the semi showed up in Lansing and they called us and they basically had the what the heck moment. And we were like, what's going on? And they were like, you have 2 53-foot trailers here, packed to the brim, no pallets, packed in from bottom to top. And we were like, yeah, we told you that we had a shipment coming in. And they were like, you guys didn't tell us that you had 106 feet worth of cardboard coming in. That takes up our entire warehouse. So they basically told us we had a couple weeks to get out of there. And we got removed. We got removed from there, and we still have a good relationship now. It's actually that same warehouse that I told you makes merchandise, that one of our clients gets their merchandise made there now. So we have a good relationship with them now, but that made it so Spence and I looked at each other and we were like, oh gosh, we need a space like now. So then we went out and got our new warehouse space here in Grand Rapids. And then that's what jump started us right in. But actually, if you don't mind, I kind of wanted to rewind a little bit because we were talking about e-commerce, and one of the kind of tidbits of information that I've shared with a lot of people in different Facebook groups, the piece that I feel like these e-com owners are missing is simply psychology. So you can have great products, you can have great advertising, but really what you're looking for is human psychology and behavior. And how is someone getting from point A to point B? Point A, they've never heard of your brand in most cases. Point B, they're purchasing a product at your store. And with that is an insane amount of psychology that goes into human behavior and how you're getting people to do the things that you want them to do. And I don't mean in like a manipulative type way. I mean, someone scrolling on their phone and they see your advertisement video. Them watching it isn't going to convert them. It might get them into your funnel, but it's not just going to convert them right away. You have to do so many things in a row, from your ad copy to all of your text, to your thumbnail, to your on-screen script, your voiceovers, your actual video itself, the link they click, what landing page you're offering, what you're trying to get them to do from the landing page. There is so much psychology that goes into it that I feel like a lot of e-com owners are missing the psychology aspect. They're like, hey, I have the coolest product in the world. Why doesn't it sell? Or I spent $17,000 on advertisement videos. Why am I getting 0 purchases? And a lot of people are missing those fine psychology details that are in between there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I completely agree. And I think that you have to spend time sitting down and thinking through those, because it used to feel like back in the day, you could just find a product, list it, run your ads, and start gaining traction right away. But the world is a more competitive place, and you have to start, if you want to build a truly sustainable brand, you have to think through those different things, and you have to be very strategic in what you do. And I think that what we're going to see over the next year or two, as the e-com world in money spent online continues to climb, what's going to be interesting is to see how the playing field gets leveled. You know, how it gets leveled with the brands that are just popping in because they see this opportunity or they took a course, and then the people that truly last because they're like, hey, I'm focusing in on the sustainability of what I'm building. I'm finding a fulfillment center and I'm treating this like a business. I'm investing in buying my products, and I'm focusing on the user experience and not just saying, hey, let's get a sale, hand it off, and never think about it again. I think that we're going to see almost a cleansing over the next year or two in the industry. My opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's already happening as well. We kind of categorize e-commerce entrepreneurs into 2 categories. First, you've got the people that they kind of understand. They're in the fast-paced Wolf of Wall Street style. They feel like a product's coming up, and when they feel like they sense a good product, then they jump right onto it. They fully launch the Shopify and they get it going.
I'd love to know, when do you, it sounds like you did it right away, but like, when is that good point where you think e-commerce owners should shift to fulfillment? Like, what is there like do you think that people should do things in-house to a certain point? Should they drop ship and then do it at a certain point? Or do you think it's the best route is to go, hey, straight into it?
I really think that has to do a lot with the person's life and lifestyle. So for example, even like the differences between Spencer and I. So Spencer's out traveling, manning our media work most of the time. And that is how he as an individual is fulfilled, as being out with a camera and doing impact driven work. Whereas someone like me, I'm more of like a point A to point B guy. How my brain works is I get hyper focused on just completing tasks. So for me, I love stuff like fulfillment. You know what I mean? You get a checklist of this is all the stuff you got to do. You knock it out and you feel great. So at the beginning of our journey, I was interested in doing it immediately. Spencer, on the other hand, he didn't want to do it immediately because if he's fulfilling, he can't be traveling, if that makes sense. So first, you got to figure out what your lifestyle and balance is like. Also, for me, I had to come to the realization right at the beginning when I was teaching that I couldn't teach and fulfill cat castles. There's not enough time in the day to do that. So we had to outsource at first. And then eventually I made the jump away from teaching, and then I was able to do it. And then the second thing, so not only your current lifestyle, but you also need to be thinking about what is it that you want. So some people want to build an e-commerce business that they work at all day, every day, and that's their career. Other people want passive lifestyle. They want to be able to make passive income, even if it's less money, but have the time freedom to do whatever it is that they want and kind of live that quote unquote laptop lifestyle. For me, I'm not a laptop lifestyle type of guy. I've got a beautiful wife and a dog and a cat, and we love where we live here near Grand Rapids, and we like to settle down and kind of what we call adult, if that makes any sense. And there's other people that just simply don't want to do that. So for me, doing something like fulfillment is a no-brainer because I need something to fill my time with. But then there's other people, and especially what we really help with our clients is most of our clients fulfilled on their own out of their house or out of a storage unit or whatever it may be. They didn't want to make the jump to getting a warehouse because that's expensive. There's no doubt about it. It's a big cost. But they also didn't want their greeting cards or their clothing or their protein or whatever it may be. They didn't want that in their basement. People get mad, people get angry, people get upset at that. I know for a fact if my basement was filled with any more cat castles than are already there, my wife would probably kick me out. So we really like helping people that fulfillment maybe just isn't for them, or they're scaling to a point where they can't keep up with it with their family and everything else they've got doing. And so they outsource the fulfillment to us at a very reasonable rate. And then now we work together with them to help them scale. So to me, one of the best parts about what we do is getting that call or text from our clients where their income went down when they started using us. Naturally, they outsourced, their margins got worse. But when we help them scale past that income threshold to where their income's higher and they don't have clothes all over their house, that those moments are what we live for, because it's just so cool to see people like, oh my gosh, Zach, thank you so much. My family's now doing better financially than we ever have. And you're handling all the day-to-day stuff. And that's what we really, really enjoy.
Yeah, I think when I always dream about, hey, one day, eventually, maybe I'll probably buy I don't know if I want to start from the ground zero because that's a lot of work. But if I bought an e-commerce brand and I decided to take everything, hey, our team's going to run it all. We live and breathe marketing, so the sales wouldn't be really an issue. All I think is, man, during Q4, it would be a nightmare, in my opinion, to be Black Friday through Cyber Monday and all through the month of December when I have team Christmas parties and Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving with my wife's family, Thanksgiving with my family, all these different Christmas because we have both sides of the family, and then also trying to fulfill while you're in the busiest quarter of the year and you're trying to handle all the marketing. So to me, if I were to start from ground zero, I would right off the bat, I would probably go straight to, I might weather it for a few months, but I would get straight to doing something like this. I just think of that. Like I think of, man, that sounds like such a headache to have to do all of the shipping from your house. You have stuff all over. Your garage is filled with stuff. You get more margin, but at the cost of what? There is so much time. We have in our Max Profits mentorship, we had someone post yesterday, like ads turned on, ads started rolling. All of these are going out to brand new customers since the ad got rolling in. And Adrienne posted this, and she posts a video, like a reel of like all of these packages that she's now shipping out from her house because her ads turned on. And when you start scaling, like you were talking about, like, hey, when you want to start scaling, it gets really hard to scale and still keep an eye on all of your marketing and all of your ad spend and all of that while you're also running to the post office 3 times a day, or if you live far from a post office or UPS, so you're driving in to do that. And I guess you're right. It does just depend, because you have to think of like, hey, where's the greatest impact as an entrepreneur where I'm at right now? What's the greatest impact I can have? Is it me sitting in my car or my house, packaging these things and driving them there, or losing a little bit of margin for the sake of being able to focus on things that are going to allow us to scale? I guess that's the perspective I would have on it.
Yeah. And my kind of last little note there is partner with people who are good at things you are not. If you're a video editor and you partner with all video editors, it's going to be a nightmare to launch an e-commerce business. But if you're a day-to-day operations guy and you partner with a video editor, now you do two opposite things. And if you both do them well, it becomes a lot easier to do that. And then the other thing is I like what you said about, maybe starting it on your own at first and then outsourcing it. Highly recommend that for anybody, because in our opinion, at least Spencer and I, we wanted to learn every aspect of the e-commerce kind of system and what has to happen from someone making a purchase to getting the item. We wanted to learn all of that. And now that we do, we feel better equipped to not only outsource things if we need to, because now we know what goes into it, but also train people on how to do it. So, because we offer consulting too with e-commerce businesses, and it blows our mind sometimes. We come in and we get 5 or 6 pointers, and that's just like our intro to what we're going to help them with, and they're all set there. They're like, oh my gosh, that's more help than we ever could have even imagined, and it's just very simple things that you can fix. But yeah, I think you're right onto something there. I think the best bet is you got to have that experience that you can tell the kids and everybody else about, where you fulfilled items out of your basement at first. You got to try that. And then as soon as you get to a point, yeah, you got to have your why, you got to have your story. And as soon as you get to the point where you have that thought process, like I did with cat castles in my house, it's like, all right, what am I doing here? We got to get an actual facility and get this thing going.
Yeah. Hey, that's good stuff, man. Now, I if anyone is listening and like, hey, I'm interested in learning this stuff, where could people go to learn more about like the 3PL side of things?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple ways. They can go to vybesource.com, vybesource.com, and you'll see the Vybe 3PL fulfillment tab, and you can click that. On that tab is a YouTube video that we created of our facility, so you can like actually with your eyes see what we're doing here. And then there'll be a brief explanation of everything. And then also simply by emailing me, most of our clients, before they look too hard into anything, they just ripped off an email to me and said, hey, this is what I do. Is there any way you guys can help? And that's where we get the majority of our clients from. And my email is Zach, like my name, at vybesource.com. And people can reach me there and we can start talking right away. Awesome.
Well, Zach, man, I appreciate you coming on. You're a wealth of knowledge and experience. Had a whole Suez Canal situation, and I think you've turned that into something really special that is going to help so many brands in the future, man. So I love everything you're doing with Vybe. Visualize yourself better every day. Man, I love that. What a great name.
Yes, sir.
What a great name. Well, hey, everyone, you've been listening to the E-Commerce Alley podcast, produced by the legendary behind the scenes. Eventually, we'll have him on here, Dylan Counts. Zach and I are grateful that you tuned in, that you're listening, and you take it easy.
Thank you, guys.